Welcome to the Global War Watch Network. Today, we plunge into a story that is as heartbreaking as it is, well, technologically advanced. In this gripping exploration, we uncover how forensic experts in Mexico are using high-tech tools and even pigs to replicate cartel burial methods, all to locate thousands of missing victims. You won't believe the unsettling realism of these experiments.
It's a really challenging topic. This program will
Yeah.
explore the profound crisis of disappearances in Mexico. We'll look at the courageous, often incredibly dangerous efforts of families searching for their loved ones, and how innovative forensic science, alongside, yes, these unexpected animal models, is being deployed. Deployed to locate clandestine graves and hopefully bring some measure of closure.
Some closure, exactly.
It's a powerful narrative, really, integrating these cutting-edge tools with invaluable local knowledge, all against this backdrop of organized crime and, frankly, pervasive impunity.
Okay, so let's start there. To truly grasp the gravity, let's unpack the immense human cost first. We're talking about a harrowing dimension of Mexico's ongoing drug war. The sheer scale of disappearances is just staggering.
It really is.
For countless families, the agonizing reality of not knowing if a loved one is alive, dead, or suffering somewhere, it's an unimaginable anguish.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't, an isolated issue. It's widespread, persistent. It's only intensified, leaving these deep scars across entire communities.
And the numbers, they're just chilling. Official data reveals over 130,000 missing persons in Mexico.
130,000.
Yeah, and to put that into perspective for you, that's a number greater than any other Latin American nation. That's according to the Associated Press.
Greater than any other one.
It is. And the United Nations, they've observed that these disappearances seem to bear indications of being, quote, generalized or systematic.
Systematic, that implies.
It suggests a widespread pattern, right? Not just isolated incidents, which often implies some level of state complicity or, at the very least, negligence. Just security experts have documented this. It highlights how deep-seated and systemic this crisis really is.
And this has roots, doesn't it? It's not just a recent phenomenon, though it seems to have escalated.
Exactly. While tragic today, it has deep historical roots. The ranks of the missing, they dramatically increased following then-President Felipe Calderón's declaration of a war on drugs back in December 2006.
All right, the war on drugs. I remember that declaration.
And it's a profound irony, really, a strategy aimed at dismantling cartel leaders. Well, it inadvertently led to the fragmentation of organized crime.
Fragmentation, meaning?
Meaning instead of large, somewhat stable structures, you ended up with lots of smaller, often more violent splinter groups. And this fragmentation led to a sharp escalation in violence and, yes, disappearances.
So the strategy backfired in a way.
In that specific way, yes. Think about the impact. According to a Congressional Research Service report, a staggering 90% of disappearances reported by the Mexican government have occurred since 2007.
90% since 2007.
Exactly. It wasn't just coincidence. It seems to be a direct, devastating consequence. This fragmentation meant, instead of one large, maybe somewhat predictable enemy, the government inadvertently created hundreds of smaller, more ruthless factions.
All fighting for power.
Right, vying for power, for territory. And these new groups, they often had no established territories or, rules of engagement. They often resorted to extreme intimidation tactics, including disappearances.
Which brings us to the why, the logic behind making people vanish.
Well, it's grim, but there's a definite logic from the perspective of these organized crime groups. They vanish people for several reasons, primarily. To maintain absolute control over territories, to instill paralyzing fear in communities, and crucially, to evade legal charges by eliminating any forensic evidence.
Get rid of the body, get rid of the crime.
Essentially, yes, it's a multifaceted strategy. Intimidation and evasion designed to leave no trace, no witness.
And who are the typical targets? Is there a pattern?
Our sources, including Just Security, indicate several categories. Often it's members of rival groups. Suspected informants are a huge target, or even just people who owe them money.
So external threats.
Yes,
Yeah.
but not exclusively. It's not just external threats. They also disappear their own members. People who disobey orders or are suspected of betrayal. It's a brutal form of internal discipline.
And I read somewhere sometimes it's linked to other crimes too, like trafficking.
Absolutely. In some truly horrific cases, these disappearances are linked to human trafficking operations. Victims forced into labor, sexual exploitation, other forms of modern slavery, all benefiting the cartel's finances. It adds this whole other layer of horror.
So it goes beyond just eliminating evidence.
It does. It serves a dual chilling purpose. Yes, meticulously eliminating forensic evidence makes it incredibly difficult for authorities to trace crimes or identify victims. That's a practical side. But maybe even more powerfully, it conveys a menacing message, a stark warning to other criminal groups, to authorities, and certainly to civilians. Disloyalty or resistance will not be tolerated.
Cross us, and you disappear.
That's the message. Severe consequences, often death, followed by complete erasure.
And you mentioned earlier, sometimes the state is involved. Enforced disappearances, you call them.
Yes, and that's a critical distinction. It's particularly chilling because it involves the state itself or people acting on its behalf. These occur when government agents or maybe proxies acting with state approval arrest, detain, or abduct someone, and then simply refuse to acknowledge it. They conceal the person's fate and whereabouts.
So they operate outside the law entirely.
Precisely. This practice deliberately places individuals outside the protection of the law. It removes all legal safeguards, often enabling severe human rights violations. Things like torture, inhumane treatment, even extrajudicial killings. Just security outlines this clearly. It's a profound abuse of power.
Which all feeds into this culture of impunity you mentioned.
It's deeply rooted. A profound cultures of impunity. There's this persistent lack of accountability, a widespread failure to investigate and prosecute these cases. And this has created a pervasive sense of insecurity and, frankly, a breakdown of justice across large parts of Mexico.
A vicious cycle.
Absolutely. Criminals operate with minimal fear of repercussions. They know the chances of being caught, let alone punished, are incredibly slim.
And the statistics on that impunity, they're almost unbelievable.
They really are. You look at the stats and you understand why there's so little fear. We're talking about a staggering 99% impunity rate in Mexico for general crimes.
99%.
99%. Think about that. Almost every crime goes unpunished.
So for the families of the missing?
For them, there's often no legal recourse, no justice from the state. It forces them into these incredibly dangerous search efforts themselves because they simply cannot rely on official channels.
Which, ironically, probably further entrenches the power of the criminal groups.
It does. It erodes the very fabric of public trust and order. And the Congressional Research Service report, it highlights that for decades, something like 90% of crimes in Mexico just go unreported entirely.
Unreported?
Yeah. And of the few that are reported, only about 4–6% actually reach any kind of conclusion. It's a system that, whether by design or neglect, consistently fails its victims.
Are there resource issues as well? Do the states even have the tools?
That's a major compounding factor, significant resource deficiencies at the state level. Many Mexican states simply lack the essential equipment for adequate investigations. Things like, basic forensic tools, or perhaps even more critically, the biological databases needed to identify unidentified bodies and link them back to missing persons reports.
So even if they find remains?
Identification becomes a huge hurdle. Now, López Obrador government did establish a National Search Commission in 2019. That was a positive step. But official efforts to accurately count the missing, they've been limited, making the true scale of the crisis even harder to grasp and respond to effectively.
It sounds overwhelming. And these aren't just historical problems.
Not at all. To really grasp the scale of this ongoing challenge, Just Security provided a stark image recently. A National Guard member standing guard at a clandestine grave, one found by a family collective on July 7, 2024, in Guadalajara, Jalisco.
Just recently, July 2024.
Yes. This is an abstract data or policy talk. It's real, it's current, unfolding right now. And get this, the finding was located just 700 meters from the Glorieta de los Desaparecidos.
The roundabout of the disappeared.
Exactly. The place where these families hold their protests. It's this constant, painful, very public reminder of what they're fighting for, literally on their doorstep.
That's incredibly poignant, and it leads us to the families themselves, doesn't it? The ones doing the searching.
It does. In response to this profound governmental failure and the overwhelming impunity, we've seen the emergence of incredibly resilient and determined family-led efforts. These grassroots search collectives, for over 15 years now, they've essentially taken matters into their own hands.
15 years?
Yes, they've united across Mexico, sharing resources, conducting their own searches, exerting relentless pressure on authorities to act. It's a truly remarkable display of human courage, solidarity, and just unwavering hope against immense adversity.
And it's often women leading these efforts, right?
That's a very striking aspect, yes. Just security points this out. Most search collectives are composed primarily of women, mothers, sisters, wives.
Why is that, do we know?
It seems to be partly due to traditional gender roles, where women often take on that responsibility when a loved one goes missing. Maybe men, as primary earners, have less time. But there's another, perhaps more cynical reason these women have discovered through painful experience.
Which is?
Women tend to be viewed as less threatening by authorities and even sometimes by criminal groups.
Less threatening.
Yes. And ironically, this can sometimes help them navigate institutional barriers or gain access to areas that might be denied to men. It's a testament to their resourcefulness and sheer determination, using every possible angle.
Their methods. You mentioned plunging rods into the earth. It sounds incredibly difficult.
Their search methods are nothing short of courageous and often harrowing. These women spend countless hours scouring vast, often dangerous areas. They learn to identify subtle signs, patterns in nature that might indicate a clandestine grave, these hidden burial sites.
Like what kind of signs?
Changes in vegetation, soil disturbance, things like that. It involves walking through known cartel territory, plunging those metal rods into the earth to feel for disturbed soil, listening for hollow sounds, and even, as the Associated Press describes, sniffing for the unmistakable, sickly, sweet scent of human decomposition.
Sniffing for, oh my God.
These aren't just searches. They're profound acts of love, defiance, and incredibly sharp, self-taught forensic investigation.
Can you give us an example of one of these groups?
Sure. There's a collective called Corazones Unidos en Busca de Nuestros Tesoros. It translates to United Hearts in Search of Our Treasures. They're based in Guadalajara, Jalisco. And on that same date, July 7, 2024, they made a devastating but important discovery. They found a clandestine grave containing the skeletons of 3 people.
3 people, just found by this family group.
Yes, imagine that moment. The mix of horror and maybe grim satisfaction that they are one step closer to the truth for someone. This isn't theoretical, it's real, happening now, driven by the courage of ordinary people.
And the personal stories must be incredibly powerful.
They truly highlight the resilience required. Take Maribel Cedeño. She's been searching for her missing brother for 4 years now. Her journey is just a poignant testament to this grim new reality. She reflected, and I quote, "I never imagined being in this situation, finding bodies, becoming such an expert."
Becoming an expert out of necessity.
Exactly. Yet despite the horror, she remains hopeful. She believes new technologies, like drones, will be helpful in their ongoing quest. Her words reveal this unwilling transformation many have undergone, forced to become forensic investigators themselves.
But you hear skepticism too, right? About whether technology alone is the answer.
Yes, and that's a crucial point. Not everyone is convinced technology is the silver bullet, at least not in isolation. Hector Flores, he's been searching for a son since 2021. He raises a critical, poignant question that resonates deeply with many searching families.
What's his concern?
He questions why so much official time and effort has been invested in methods that, in his view, haven't led to concrete discoveries, especially when families like his have a proven track record of finding graves with little to no official support.
So he's saying, listen to us, we know what works on the ground.
Essentially, yes. It's a powerful call for prioritizing the lived experience, the invaluable knowledge of these searching families, recognizing their unique expertise built from painful experience.
Which leads to this idea of expert relatives.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. The power of expert relatives. It's a crucial insight. The invaluable, hard-won experience of these family members directly informs and enriches scientific research. It demonstrates that, as José Luis Silvan of Centro Geo aptly puts it, knowledge flows in both directions. It's not just scientists telling families what to do.
Knowledge flows both ways. I like it.
It's not just a metaphor, it's a practical, life-saving exchange.
And there was that striking example you mentioned earlier about the mothers identifying graves.
Ah, yes, that was remarkable. Silvan from Centro Geo mentioned this. Mothers from search groups were invited to a pig burial site, a scientific research site we need to talk more about. And these mothers were able to identify most of the unmarked graves just by sight alone.
By sight? How?
They recognized subtle changes in the plants, the soil placement, things that are imperceptible to the trained scientists present, but immediately obvious to them.
Because they'd seen it before in real searches.
Precisely. They might notice a certain discoloration in the grass, maybe a subtle dip in the earth, or a specific type of weed that thrives on disturbed ground. Their eyes were trained by years of desperate searching.
That's incredible. So this local lived knowledge is being integrated into the high-tech stuff.
It is now, yes. It shows how this intuition, honed by desperation, is meeting data-driven precision. It's a beautiful, if tragic, synergy between grassroots efforts and cutting-edge science.
Which brings us squarely to projects like the Found Project.
Exactly. This convergence of grassroots knowledge and scientific innovation is best exemplified by the Found Project. Its mission, quite explicitly, is demonstrating how existing technologies can replicate and enhance the search methodologies developed by these families.
Making it safer and more efficient.
Safer, more efficient, and providing more reliable data for formal identification processes down the line.
And the name, Found. It's very direct.
It is very meaningful. It directly represents its core mission. Parents finding the children they have lost, as explained by the Oxford University researchers involved.
It's not just technical, it's deeply human.
Profoundly humanitarian.
Yeah.
Built around that ultimate goal of reuniting families, even if it's only bringing home remains for a proper burial.
And the families themselves, they trust this project.
It seems so. This human-centered approach has earned significant community recognition. Searching mothers often refer to Found as intelligent searching.
Intelligent searching.
Yeah, it highlights their trust, their appreciation for this innovative approach. In a context where official efforts have often fallen short, getting that endorsement from the people most affected, that's a powerful testament to the project's perceived effectiveness and its ethical approach.
So what are some of the key technologies Found is using? You mentioned geospatial information sciences, GIC.
Right, GIC is a key pillar. Now, for those unfamiliar, think of GIC as the science behind really smart maps. It's more than just plotting points. It allows researchers to layer massive amounts of different kinds of data onto a geographical map, things like crime locations, specific terrain features, slopes, altitude, vegetation, environmental conditions, even migration routes.
All layered together.
Exactly. And by analyzing how these layers interact, it helps predict where clandestine graves are most likely to be found, essentially creating a highly informed digital search grid.
So it narrows down the search area dramatically.
That's the goal. Medcraig describes it as a fundamental field of basic research, redefining geographic concepts for geographic information systems, or GIS. It integrates insights from computer science, statistics, maths, even psychology.
Psychology, how does that fit in?
Well, understanding perpetrator behavior, potential disposal site choices, patterns of movement that involve psychological profiling, which can then be translated into spatial data.
Okay, that makes sense. So GIS provides the tools for more efficient searching.
Incredibly powerful tools in this context. It analyzes vast amounts of information about the territory, the environment, relevant social and criminal characteristics, all managed from a centralized cabinet of data, allowing for this comprehensive multi-layered approach to predicting grave locations. It makes searches far more targeted, less reliant on sheer chance or those dangerous manual efforts.
What kind of specific data goes into these models?
Oh, it's incredibly diverse, creating a really granular picture. You have sociocriminal variables, things like homicides linked to organized crime, official records of missing persons, the specific modus operandi, the signature methods of perpetrators in that area, other related crimes like kidnappings, even migration patterns.
Okay, what else?
Then there are built environment variables. This includes infrastructure, highways, roads, ports, airports, border crossings, railways, even security facilities. Things that indicate easy access for disposal or perhaps areas to avoid.
Makes sense. And physical factors.
Right. Physical variables are crucial too. Temperature, slope of the land, altitude, precipitation levels, type of vegetation, and hydrography. That means water features like rivers, lakes, streams. All of these can influence decomposition rates, accessibility, and concealment possibilities.
So you combine all that data.
Meticulously combine and analyze it using GIS and you get a clearer, much more precise picture of where to focus the search efforts.
Okay, so that's the where. What about the how? Drones seem key here.
Definitely. Moving from the predictive analysis to direct detection, drones and advanced imaging techniques are revolutionizing the search on the ground, or rather from the air. Drones equipped with multispectral cameras can rapidly cover extensive areas that would be incredibly difficult or just too dangerous for humans to traverse on foot.
Reducing time and risks.
Significantly. Especially the inherent dangers associated with physical searches in locations controlled by organized crime groups. It offers this much-needed layer of safety, surveying vast stretches from above.
And this is actually being used now, not just experimental.
It is. The Jalisco Search Commission, for example, officially integrated drones and multispectral analysis into its search practices back in May 2024. So, real-world integration making a tangible difference.
That's progress.
It is. And since June, The AS project has pushed the boundaries even further. They're testing devices that essentially act like underground sonar or X-rays.
Underground.
They're using tomography devices. These create 3D images of what's beneath the surface, much like a medical CT scan, and also high-frequency seismic noise instruments.
Seismic noise, like for earthquakes.
Similar principle, but on a micro scale. They send vibrations into the ground and listen for echoes or changes in those vibrations to pinpoint hidden voids, disturbed earth anomalies, even under layers of concrete.
Under concrete. That's tackling some really tough concealment methods.
Absolutely, taking the search literally underground. And there's an even more advanced imaging technique, hyperspectral imaging.
Hyperspectral. How's that different from multispectral?
It offers enhanced detail, far superior to standard multispectral cameras. It collects significantly more information across a much wider range of spectral bands, essentially capturing finer colors of light reflection.
So it sees more.
It sees much more detail. Every object to healthy plants, stressed plants, disturbed soil, decomposing organic matter reflects light in its own unique way across the electromagnetic spectrum. Hyperspectral cameras capture these unique spectral signatures.
Look at fingerprint of light.
Exactly, allowing scientists to identify anomalies completely invisible to the human eye. Subtle changes in vegetation health, maybe, or soil composition directly above a hidden grave.
And this works even over time.
Apparently so. Experimental studies have even shown an inhibition of vegetation regeneration over burial locations for up to 16 months. It leaves these subtle but persistent clues.
Wow. Has this been tested effectively?
Yes, blind tests were conducted up in Ottawa, Canada. They buried pig carcasses, we'll get to why pigs soon, and successfully located them using airborne hyperspectral imagery. The results were incredibly promising for enhancing detection methods, proving the concept in controlled settings.
And Von D is sharing this knowledge.
They are. The commitment to spreading this capability is commendable. In July, Found Von began training the Colombian government's Missing Persons Unit and also Mexico's Attorney General's office in Zacatecas, training them on the practical use of multispectral analysis in their own search operations.
So it's capacity building.
Exactly. Not just developing tech, but sharing vital tools and methodologies across borders, equipping more agencies with the means to conduct effective searches.
Beyond the high-tech imaging, you mentioned another crucial asset. Dogs.
Ah, yes, the canine advantage. We absolutely have to talk about cadaver dogs. These are highly specialized canines, very distinct from general search and rescue dogs. They are trained specifically to detect the incredibly nuanced scent of human decomposition.
Not just any scent, but human decomposition specifically.
Correct. Their role is absolutely critical in pinpointing precise grave locations, especially in complex environments where visual clues might be scarce or misleading.
And their success rate is high.
Truly impressive, almost bordering on unbelievable. These dogs are remarkably effective, boasting about a 95% success rate in picking up these specific scents.
95%, even if buried deep.
Even for bodies buried up to 15 feet deep, according to the Spruce Pets. It's a capability that human technology, for all its advances, can only aspire to replicate right now. It highlights the unique biological advantage these animals possess.
What makes their sense of smell so powerful?
It's fascinating biology, really. Dogs possess approximately 200 million olfactory receptors in their noses. Compare that to us humans, we have about 5 million.
200 million versus 5 million, that's a huge difference.
It makes their sense of smell roughly 40 times greater than ours. And specific breeds often used, like German Shepherds, can have up to 225 million receptors. This unparalleled olfactory power makes them perfectly suited for this incredibly sensitive, precise task. They can detect minute traces of odorants released during decomposition.
And this isn't new, is it, using dogs for this?
Not at all. Despite all the cutting-edge tech we're discussing, dogs have been assisting humans in tracking down deceased bodies for millennia. Their use reportedly dates back to around 700 BC.
Wow. Millennia.
It's a testament to the enduring, invaluable partnership between humans and canines in such grim circumstances. So while the tech is new, the canine partnership has deep historical roots, proving its effectiveness across centuries.
Can they tell the difference between human and animal remains?
Yes, that's a key part of their training and ability. They demonstrate impressive discrimination. Cadaver dogs are rigorously trained to differentiate between human and animal remains, ensuring they're on the right track.
And they can detect even if the body isn't there anymore.
That's another incredible ability. They can often identify crime scenes even if a body has since been moved, thanks to lingering scent residues left in the soil or area. And sometimes they might even be able to lead search teams to relocation sites by following that faint, lingering scent trail.
providing critical leads.
Exactly. Leads that technology might miss.
The training must be intense.
Incredibly rigorous and extensive. A cadaver dog typically undergoes around 1,000 hours of specialized instruction.
1,000 hours.
Yes. It often starts with special chemicals that mimic the scent of decomposing flesh, before progressing to real human body parts, often sourced ethically from body donation programs or scientific research facilities. They learn to distinguish between different stages and types of decomposition. Is it recently deceased? Long dead? Was the victim drowned? The scent profile changes. It's an intensive, specialized education for these crucial partners. They become vital members of search teams.
Okay, this brings us to a more difficult aspect you alluded to, the forensic experiments, using animals.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need to address the forensic experimentation involving animal models. It's a challenging topic, but scientifically necessary for this kind of research. The use of animals, particularly pigs, is a critical component here. Why? Because direct studies on human decomposition face enormous ethical and practical challenges. You can't just bury human bodies experimentally.
Right, obviously.
So pigs provide a convenient organism, as the Associated Press and journals like PubMed put it,
Mm.
for in-depth controlled study of postmortem processes.
Why the pigs specifically?
They share many physiological similarities with humans. Similar fat distribution, similar gut flora, which plays a huge role in decomposition, similar skin type, and permeability. This makes them excellent biological analogs for decomposition studies in many environments.
But this research, it must operate under strict ethical rules.
Absolutely. It operates within strict ethical frameworks. In the UK, for example, there's the Animals Scientific Procedures Act, 1986. It mandates a very careful cost-benefit analysis,
Cost-benefit.
meaning meticulously weighing any potential harm or discomfort to the animals against the significant benefits the research promises, like advancing forensic science to find missing persons and bring criminals to justice. No responsible scientist wants to cause unnecessary suffering, and strict protocols aim to minimize it.
Is there a guiding principle for this?
Yes, globally, a core principle is the 3 R's: replacement, reduction, and refinement. The 3 R's. Replacement, using alternatives to animals whenever possible. Reduction, using the absolute minimum number of animals necessary to get statistically valid results. And refinement, improving experimental procedures and housing conditions to minimize any potential suffering or distress. It's a continuous effort.
How does the public generally view this kind of research?
Well, polls suggest strong public support, often between 84 and 90%, for animal research, specifically for serious medical or scientific purposes. If suffering is minimized and alternatives have been considered, it's always a delicate balance.
Transparency must be key then.
Crucial. The UK's Freedom of Information Act, for instance, mandates publishing overviews of new animal research projects. This makes the UK a leader in transparency, fostering informed public debate on these sensitive but important topics.
Which is important because the experiments themselves, they sound quite graphic.
They are designed to be realistic, and that realism can be disturbing. Scientists in Jalisco conduct these grim yet vital experiments simulating actual cartel burial methods. This involves obtaining dead swine, often from agricultural sources, dressing them in clothes, and then meticulously disposing of the carcasses in ways designed to replicate real-world cartel practices.
Which can be brutal.
Extremely brutal and varied. The experiments replicate this. Wrapping the pigs in packing tape, chopping them up, stuffing them into plastic bags or blankets, covering them in lime.
Why lime?
Lime, or calcium hydroxide, is often used by criminals because they believe it speeds up decomposition or masks the scent. Forensic science studies whether and how effectively it actually does that under different conditions.
Okay.
Or even burning the remains. Some pig carcasses are buried individually, others in groups to simulate mass graves. It's a precise, if unsettling, replication of real-world crime scenes.
All done in a controlled environment.
Exactly. All controlled. So researchers can study the specific forensic signatures, the chemical changes in the soil, the effects on vegetation, the decomposition rates under different conditions that can help find real missing people.
The scientific goal is clear then.
Clear and compelling. These controlled experiments are vital for understanding the complex post-mortem changes caused by buried remains. This understanding directly aids the development and validation of more effective detection methods, both technological and canine. It tells scientists what physical and chemical clues to look for.
But pigs aren't exactly the same as humans. Right? How do they account for that?
That's a very important point. Researchers absolutely understand that pigs are analogs, not identical replicas. There are limitations, and they are carefully factored into the research.
Like what kind of limitations?
Well, for instance, there's often a notable difference in median body mass. Humans typically average over 80 kilograms, perhaps. In one study mentioned in PubMed, the pigs used had about a 45-kilogram difference compared to average human cadavers.
So that affects decomposition rate,
Yeah.
presumably?
It can, yes. Along with differences in gut microbiome composition, diet before death, things like that. These limitations are acknowledged, documented, and factored into the analysis and how findings are applied. It's about using the best available model, understanding its constraints, and adapting the findings accordingly.
And these experiments help validate the technology, too.
Crucial for validation. Those blind tests we mentioned, like in Ottawa, using buried pig carcasses to test airborne hyperspectral imagery, that's a direct application. It yields promising results, confirming that the technology can work under controlled, simulated conditions. It bridges the gap from lab theory to potential field application.
Okay, so we have the family efforts, the technology, the science. But there are still huge underlying problems in Mexico.
Absolutely. As we connect the dots, it's clear that despite these incredible scientific advances and the tireless efforts of families, there are persistent, deeply entrenched obstacles to resolution. Mexico's criminal landscape, as the CRS report outlines, remains characterized by extreme violence, pervasive corruption, and the deeply entrenched impunity we discussed. It's a vicious cycle, incredibly difficult to break.
And these criminal groups, they're involved in more than just drugs, right?
Much more. That's a key point. Mexican transnational criminal organizations, or TCOs, aren't just drug traffickers anymore. They are complex polycriminal networks. They're engaged in extortion, human smuggling, arms trafficking, massive fuel theft, oil theft, which impacts national infrastructure and stability.
And they impact other countries, too.
Significantly, they contribute heavily to the U.S. opioid crisis, for example. Their impact is felt far beyond Mexico's borders. Their diversified illicit portfolio makes them incredibly resilient and much harder to dismantle than single-focus groups.
And past government strategies haven't always helped. You mentioned fragmentation earlier.
Right. Ironically, some strategies, like the kingpin strategy, focusing solely on taking out top leaders, have proven counterproductive in some ways.
How so?
While intended to dismantle cartels, it often led to that fragmentation we talked about, resulting in a proliferation of numerous, often more brutal, armed groups. One estimate suggests an astonishing 543 distinct groups operated between 2009 and 2020.
543 groups.
Yes, replacing relatively stable, albeit powerful, large organizations with highly violent, unpredictable smaller ones, all fighting each other, leading to an explosion of violence and, tragically, more disappearances.
What about the current government's approach, the hugs not bullets policy?
President López Obrador's policy. Its stated intent is to address root causes, social inequality, rather than direct confrontation. However, it has been associated with a noticeable decline in U.S.-Mexico law enforcement cooperation. And its overall effectiveness in actually weakening the TCOs is still, well, under scrutiny. Homicide levels remain historically high, and the problem of disappearances continues unabated, arguably worsening. It sparked considerable debate about whether it truly addresses the core issues or inadvertently gives criminal groups more operating space.
And the impact on society goes beyond the missing persons themselves.
Tragically, yes. The broader societal impact is heartbreaking and far-reaching. You have widespread political violence targeting local officials, mayors, candidates, and journalists, which fundamentally undermines democracy and freedom of the press.
And people forced from their homes.
Significant internal displacement. Roughly 380,000 people were internally displaced between 2009 and 2018 alone, forced from their homes by escalating violence. These aren't just cold statistics. These are lives shattered, communities uprooted, the very fabric of society strained to its breaking point.
So given all these immense challenges, what is the path forward? Innovation and collaboration seem key.
They are, but it's important to be realistic and acknowledge the limitations, especially with technology, and the need for constant adaptation. While advanced technologies offer immense potential, they face hurdles. High cost of implementation is a big one. Can states afford these systems?
Right, affordability and access.
Exactly. Then there are challenges in applying findings across diverse regions. Mexico has incredibly varied vegetation, climates, soil types. What works in Jalisco might need significant recalibration for Zacatecas or Sonora.
And you need good data to feed the systems.
Critically important. The effectiveness of these tools, especially GICC, is heavily reliant on precise, comprehensive geographic data, which isn't always readily available or accurate everywhere.
Which raises the question of scalability. Can these tools be adopted widely?
That's the big uncertainty. Can these high-tech tools be widely adopted and remain affordable for authorities across all of Mexico or in other affected countries? It's great that the Jalisco Search Commission is using some, but scaling that up nationwide. That's a massive challenge requiring huge investment in infrastructure.
But the scientific community is pushing forward.
Definitely. The mindset is one of continuous improvement, acknowledging these hurdles. Forensic scientist Derek Congram put it well, saying researchers must always have to try, fail again, and keep trying.
Learn from failure.
Exactly. That iterative approach, embracing setbacks as learning opportunities, is fundamental to forensic innovation, especially tackling a problem this complex and dynamic.
And good data remains crucial for the predictive models.
Absolutely essential. The effectiveness of GISIC tools hinges on comprehensive geolocalized contextual information and extensive field data. And this isn't just about finding positive hits, remember. Details from negative searches, knowing where bodies aren't found, can be just as important for refining the models, ruling out areas, and improving predictions over time. It's about building that complete data-rich picture.
It sounds like no single approach is enough. You need different experts working together.
That's the consensus among experts, overwhelmingly. Multidisciplinary synergy is vital. You need teams that combine forensic sciences with remote sensing specialists, psychologists, anthropologists, sociologists, spatial analysts.
Bringing all those perspectives together.
Yes, no single discipline holds all the answers. It's the collaboration, the integration of these different viewpoints and skill sets that will lead to more effective search strategies and hopefully more findings.
And throughout all this, the families remain central.
Absolutely central. Most importantly, through all the tech and science, we have to empower the families. Their role is continuous, crucial. They are the protagonists in the search process. They actively participate in developing and validating search tools, as we saw, and they provide invaluable anti-mortem information.
Anti-mortem.
Information about the person before death. Dental records, medical histories, descriptions of unique personal identifiers like tattoos, scars, previous injuries. This information is absolutely critical for confirming identities once remains are found.
So their knowledge is essential at both ends, finding and identifying.
Precisely. Their lived experience, their relentless determination, their unwavering hope that is truly the driving force behind all these scientific and technological efforts.
So we've covered a lot today. We've explored the immense human toll of disappearances in Mexico, the extraordinary resilience of the families leading the search efforts, and the cutting-edge forensic science, including that crucial and often challenging role of animal models that is bringing new hope, new tools to this profound crisis.
It really is a powerful story, isn't it? Human determination meeting scientific innovation, all in the face of just immense suffering and systemic challenges.
It truly is. We invite you, our listeners, to share your thoughts on this complex and vital topic in the comment section below.
Yeah, we'd genuinely like to hear what you think. You can also join us on social media. All the links for that are provided in the description.
And as we wrap up, maybe a final thought to leave you with. As we consider the profound impact of these disappearances, the sheer scale of the challenge, what responsibility do global communities have, particularly those connected maybe indirectly to the illicit drug trade and its vast financial web? What responsibility do we have to support these often dangerous, under-resourced search efforts in places like Mexico?
That's a heavy question. Support not just for new technologies maybe, but also for building that vital human and ethical infrastructure needed.
The infrastructure needed to finally bring the missing home.